Morning guys, it's Mark from the Institute of Vehicle Recovery. We're still in the workshop and it's the weather has definitely changed, along with some new government guidelines that we're going to talk about a little bit today in terms of face coverings. We're going to look at two scenarios today that we alluded to on the last film, but concentrating on what we're going to do with our customers whilst we recover their vehicles from the roadside, from a situation that we feel that is not safe for them to catch any kind of alternative. So we're going to cover that in depth today. We just want to touch on an interesting question that we've had come through from somebody that would like to remain anonymous at this time on our email to the office at the Institute of Vehicle Recovery. They've asked whether the IVR condones the customer loading their motorcycle onto the recovery truck. This is not what the IVR would condone in doing, and if there was some confusion from the last film, we want to clarify on that. The customer would assist by holding the back of the bike whilst loading that into a motorcycle carrier, and that's where we were talking about maybe not being able to maintain the 2 meters social distancing. The actual loading of that motorcycle onto the truck must be done solely by the vehicle recovery operator. It must be secured down correctly by the vehicle recovery operator and would follow the training that operator has received. We're really encouraged by the interaction and the questions there, so if you can do that a lot more for us, that would be great. Remember to press the subscribe button and the little bell, and you'll get notifications when we make more of these films, because this is something that we are going to do in the future. So scene one, guys, is a car broken down on a relatively fast road. The occupant is a female in this case, and she feels quite vulnerable. We would ring 5 minutes prior to attending the scene, and we will talk her through what it is that we are about to do. Because of the roadside situation, we are going to suggest that she stays in her vehicle.
Hello? Yes, it is. Hi. Oh. Yeah, that's right. Yes, yeah. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I mean, my husband is self-isolating, and I really don't want to get into the driver's cab. I don't know what else you can offer, but I really am quite nervous of I don't want a taxi, and I can't get any other family member, and I really do not want to get into the driver's cab.
The IVR has produced a handout protocol that you can use, firstly, to give you guidance of when you may feel it's necessary to leave the customer in their car, and secondly, one that you can hand to the customer to re-emphasise what it is that you're explaining for them to do whilst talking to them on the phone or through an open window. We would suggest that this section you would laminate and keep within your own vehicle, and this section here you would just print off and print multiple copies so that you can hand this to the customer, and then they would retain that. You wouldn't want this back after they've held it. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to put a link just below in the comments box so that you can download this, or you could go to www.theivr.com to our website and follow the COVID-19 links there and be able to do exactly the same. So the customer is in their car. You've made the phone call 5 minutes on approach. You've told them to remain in their car and to drop their passenger side window a few centimetres so that they can hear what you're about to say. At that point, wearing your gloves, you would hand this section through the window to the customer so that they could read it at the same time as you explaining what it is that you're going to do. You're going to ask them to steer the vehicle onto the back of your recovery truck, and you're going to make sure that they've selected a neutral gear whilst this is happening. We're going to winch this car on, guys, and the IVR only condones the winching of vehicles onto transporters, allied to a secondary safety restraint. Now, what I'd like to do is stress the importance of this. This is important at all times where we're loading a car. but really important now because you've got a customer potentially in that vehicle with you. There are several secondary restraints on the market, and this is not an exhaustive list. You could use something as simple as a soft loop if you needed to. Follow the training that you have received from your IVR instructor when loading a vehicle onto the back of a recovery transporter. But you must use a secondary restraint at all times, guys. At that point, you would then secure their vehicle to the bed of your truck in the correct manner. At all times, reassuring your customer through the open window, put your bed back onto your recovery truck, and at that time, make sure that they're reassured that they're okay. Hello, Mrs. Churchill, it's Mark from the cab. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, thank you.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, not too bad. I think this is better than being towed.
Fantastic. So,
Yeah.
2 minutes, I'll just shut that sound off. We're about to pull away anytime. Just if you've got any concerns, just ask questions. It's just like having a normal conversation now. So I'm on the hands-free.
Right.
Okay, and
Yes, thank you.
I think your address we've got here is Baven Cottages. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. Okay,
Yeah.
well the sat nav's
Yeah.
found that, so we should be with you or with your husband within the next 5 minutes.
Thank you so much.
Whilst in transit, they will still have this available to them. But there is a little bit at the bottom if they do feel unsure at any time how they would alert you, and you would pull over then at a deemed safe opportunity and find out what their issue may be. You need to make sure that you are driving accordingly, guys. That might mean a restricted speed. It might just mean taking a little bit more care when pulling out of junctions or maybe taking bends. You need to drive accordingly. Once you've reached your destination, it's important that the customer still stays in their car, so you need to re-emphasise this. Okay, so we're going to get your bed off now. So obviously it's going to move and it's going to tip up a little bit. It's all perfectly safe. It might make some funny groaning and crunching noises, but all of that is absolutely safe, okay? Okay with that? You're going to deploy your bed, remove the straps in the normal manner, and you're going to winch the car back off of your truck. And only when you feel that you can definitely maintain your 2 meters social distancing would you allow the customer to get out of their car. At that time, you may direct them to where they may be able to get a cup of tea, or they might be at their own home address and they can go in and relax back at their own home. But you must make sure that at no time the customer gets out of their vehicle whilst it is still on your recovery truck. At that point, when they are about to get out of their vehicle, if social distancing is a little bit difficult because of the scenario or the scene that you're working in, make sure that you're wearing the correct PPE, a face covering or mask, and that you're acting accordingly and professional at all times. So, guys, just want to give you a little bit of insight into that, really. That was my mum, and since the coronavirus and lockdown, that's the nearest and closest that I've been to my mother, genuinely. My dad is self-isolating and is classed as a vulnerable person. He has diabetes and COPD, and my mum has been genuinely driving backwards and forwards to collect his medication from Tewkesbury. She found out about us doing this film late last night and was a little bit sceptical and a little bit concerned about what I wanted to do. So what you've just seen is genuine. We have obviously cut little bits out where we may have said the wrong thing or made a mistake in our script, but everything that you hear and have heard on that film is genuine. And my mum is quite a nervous person, but genuinely everything that you've just heard was for real, and there is no way that the IVR is going to ask you to put a general motorist in any position of danger, and there is definitely no way that I would put my mother in any form of danger. The reason why we came up with leaving my mum in the car and filming what we've just done is because a tow pole was not really an option. My mum didn't feel confident in being towed by a pole, and in the past she has been towed by ropes and poles and really did not want that to happen. Catching a taxi or getting a hire car at that point in time was also not an option. Mum genuinely would not have got into a taxi. there were no hire cars local to where she had broken down at that point in time. The best thing that we could have done at that point was leave her in the car. And this really is going along the spirit of fighting this disease. By maintaining social distancing, keeping us both in our own space, we are really, really working hard to get rid of this virus. Not just for the safety of myself or you as breakdown operators, but also to those vulnerable people that are out there. And your professionalism and what you do is really going to highlight this. And the more that we really do to maintain social distancing, look out for one another, then we will be able to fight this virus and it will disappear. So with the motorcycle, the rider is probably going to be within your 2 metre proximity. So it's imperative that you're wearing the correct PPE. That the rider could help stable the back of the bike whilst it's being loaded onto the carrier. But at that point, he would then stand out of the way, or if the road dictated, may have to get into your cab. He would still remain wearing his helmet and gloves. At that point, you would then continue to load that bike as you have been trained to do so. Whilst you're travelling to the safe location, the rider must maintain wearing his helmet and gloves. And this way, we are maintaining that face covering. It is also important that you continue to wear your face mask. So guys, I hope that now makes a lot more sense to you with what you would do to the customer whilst they're going on recovery. I would like to say thank you to you guys for the time and effort that you are putting in to our industry at this really difficult time. We are not always recognised for what we do in dealing with the general motoring public, and I would now like to just hand over to our president of the Institute of Vehicle Recovery, Nick Ovenden.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, the rescue and recovery industry has been at the front line, keeping the roads moving and keeping the key workers mobile. To stay alert, in line with government advice, the IVR has issued guidelines to help prevent the spread of the virus to the motoring public and to help keep our operators safe so that they can continue to do the important work that we do. If we stay alert and continue to keep our distance from each other, we can help prevent a second wave of the virus and ultimately save lives. Thank you, rescue and recovery key workers.